your lab and a few of you. For those of you that don't know Mr. Derek Zomer, Mr. Derek Zomer is our assistant basic course director and a senior graduate student in the department. And one of his areas of interest and expertise happens to be nonverbal communication. Okay, and so today he is going to conduct our discussion on nonverbal communication. He even wrote the quiz today. You have to write a quiz today in class. And he's got pretty good questions and one kind of easy gimme questions. So you still have to listen and take in the lesson.
Chris, how you feeling?
And here he is. Without further ado, Derek Zomer.
Please. Well, happy New Year's, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good week. I have a video for you. We'll watch it later. We'll watch it at the end. It's like 20 minutes long. But as Amy said, it's my second year of grad school.
Quiet!
Thank you. Chatty cat. My second year in grad school, I ultimately want to go into public speaking. If you're in my lab, you've heard this already, but I want to go into motivational speaking. That's kind of my interest. I do a camp every summer that I get to work with about 100 high school students, and they have really opened my eyes to finding out that there's a lot of problems in the youth, and that people just want to find their hidden potentials and all that kind of stuff. I want to go on to that. But what I want to segue into is I'll be using a lot of nonverbal communication to see, while I'm giving presentations to the youth of America after I graduate, I will pick up on your nonverbal cues. I'll pick up on them. If someone's doing this, it obviously means I don't want to do that now, which I probably will see that a lot today, so I won't call you out, but I will see that. If someone's straight up in their seat and they're like really excited, and I can see that by the way their body's doing that, I can tell they want to listen. They want to pick up on what I'm talking about. So that's kind of how what I want to do after grad school relates to nonverbal. And then, this. Persuasive annotated sorry for my lab, you're going to hear this 8,000 times from me, is due this Friday by 5 p.m. Also start thinking, if you don't have lab yet, if you have today or tomorrow, you'll be talking about your group advocacy topics, and then your persuasive speech start these next 2 weeks, so I hope you're really excited about that. Can you minimize this? So I got a crazy picture here. Fun, exciting people. I just want you to tell me what you think this lady right here is portraying. Anger, confusion. Someone said yesterday that she's constipated. I was like, oh, that's okay. How about this guy right here? Scared, yeah. I don't know either. How about this one? Really disgusted. This one right here. Surprised, almost too surprised also. This guy. Just happy. Having a good day. How about this lady? Just depressed. She's sad. Maybe that's what she looks like when she's relaxed. I hope not, but it's just interesting how you can pick that up. If you watched the political debate last night, I never really watched anything political, but last night I just had my TV on doing something, and I won't get into my political views, but I noticed a ton of nonverbal things. Everything from what they were wearing. I noticed halfway through that Romney had a red tie on, Obama had a blue tie on. That's telling us something nonverbally. Obama was smiling a lot. Mitt Romney was blinking a lot. I pick up on that kind of stuff when I watch people speak. So I just think that's interesting. And in the book they say if you're breathing and alive, you're always showing nonverbal codes. No matter what you're doing, you're always showing them to us. If you think you can just do this and not show me anything, actually you are showing me something. You're one, being really awkward, or you're just scared, you're timid, I don't know what it could be. But if you're breathing, you're always showing nonverbal cues. Half of your rubric is going to be graded on nonverbals. Your first half just on the structure of your speech and your verbal stuff. The next half is going to be nonverbals, and I'll be talking about that throughout the lecture today. If I do this, you all know what that means, as this little kid's doing. It means, all right, okay. When my dad would call me in for supper on the farm, he'd be like, Derek, come and get supper. I'd be like, yeah. I just would do that to him. And he'd be like, okay, weird, but whatever. That's just what I did when I was a child. Or if you do this, oh, okay. Or just, that's a nonverbal right there. I just did that. I agreed with you. Or I did this. I don't agree with you. They start as a child. They start as early as when you're a child. You learn all this stuff. You don't really know what they mean, but you do it because people tell you to do it. What is nonverbal communication? It plays a very important role in interaction. And it sometimes can be ambiguous. If I were to do this to someone, First off, it's really creepy. I'm sorry that I did that. I'm very sorry. I scared you there. But it's also, it can mean something else. Maybe I'm just off in a daze. I'm just thinking about something that I have to do later tonight. Or maybe I'm upset with you. That's my way of trying to intimidate you. Or, as you'll learn throughout the lecture today, if Emma Stone, if for all these that know her, if she was standing right in the middle of the classroom, I would just be doing this to her. Just be staring right at her, because luckily she doesn't know this yet, but we're going to get married someday. You're all invited. It's going to be an exciting dance. All right, so it's very ambiguous. Just staring at you, you don't know what I'm thinking. Is he mad at me? Is he just, what's he doing? Is he trying to get my attention? Or is he just dazing off? It helps us interpret verbal aspects of communication. My mom, and I went home last weekend, and I got home and I wanted to tell my mom so many stories about my day, or about my week. I haven't seen her for 3 months, and I go home, I literally go home, and she's on her cell phone. Okay, that's fine. But when I was talking to her, she's doing this. Oh yeah, Derek? Oh, that's so exciting. Oh yeah. Oh shit, I can't spell that word. She does that all the time, and it's kind of annoying. You might have friends that do that. You probably do it yourself. You talk to someone, you're giving them a nonverbal message saying, oh, yeah, I really don't care because I haven't text or play words with friends with someone. My mom does it all the time. So now you'll see that all the time because I do. We have nonverbal behavior versus nonverbal communication. Nonverbal behavior are actions we engage in. If I just do this, oh, he just doesn't dance. It's not a big deal. Or if I'm listening to music and I'm just tapping to the beat, it's not a big deal. It's when we get to nonverbal communication is when we attach a meaning to it, a symbolic meaning to it. So if I did this, oh, he just has a scratch. But forgive me, I don't know a lot about baseball. If I was a coach on by the third base, I think, and I did this, that might signal run home or something. Run home. I think that's what it means. I don't know. So just by adding that little symbolic behavior behind it, we already have a whole totally different context of what the scratching on the arm means. Another good one is coughing. He just had to clear his throat, that's fine. But some of you know this already. I get a peeve when I'm out riding my bike on the sidewalk and there's a person right in the middle and I don't know if I should go right, if I should go left, or if I should just go on the grass. I just would rather stay on the sidewalk. So what I do is I go, I make the weirdest grunting, like, troll noises to get them out of my way. So just by doing that, I added some kind of meaning to it. Another one is thumb sucking. As a young baby, you suck your thumb. It's okay to do. But if I was doing this to some of you, I might be implying that, you're a little baby. Come on, step up. Don't be a baby like that. Okay, so just thumb sucking in itself can mean something completely different. Another great example, I was doing this on the way to the lecture hall today. What does this mean if I was walking here? I don't want to talk to someone. I'm trying to shut myself off. Maybe I'm a little bashful and I don't really want to talk to someone I see walking towards me. It can mean anything, just by crossing your arms. Bad posture, which I'll talk about later. I have horrible posture. That might signify to you, oh, he's not very confident when he's up there talking. Like right now, I'm trying really hard to stand straight up and show that I'm very confident. But sometimes it can get a little relaxed. And that's a little bit more about nonverbals that are everywhere. The individual, which is very interesting, you need to know the codes or symbols and rules that signal various messages. If I saw Emma Stone right in the middle there, and I'm like, I need to ask her on a date. And we go to the Muck, and we go to the coffee shop, and because that's where I take a date, is to the Muck coffee shop. And I sat there and I started doing this, leaning forward. She might, one, be creeped out, but that just doesn't mean I'm trying to, trying to talk to her. It could mean that something sharp's on my chair and I went forward suddenly. Or my stomach really hurt. Or I awkwardly stretch my back that way when I'm on a date. It can mean anything. Just a forward lean can mean anything, non-verbally. Influences on nonverbal communication. If you saw a husband and wife walking across the street holding hands, you think nothing of it. But let's say you know that female and she's holding hands with her boss crossing the street. You're like, oh. That's a totally confusing nonverbal cue. You're like, what's going on? So it can influence the way you think. Just by seeing that nonverbal holding hands going across the street with two different people, you're like, what is she doing? It just it starts making your brain think, and it makes you think so many things. In East Africa, I'll talk a lot about culture. Let's have a look. In East Africa, they don't go, hey, could you get that over there for me? Which I won't try because it's really awkward. They point with their lips. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they take their upper lip and go, or they make a duck face and then point that way. I honestly have no idea how they do that, but that's how they show nonverbal cues in East Africa as opposed to in here in America. Instead of pointing, they point with their lips. And you have to know the person before you can pick up on nonverbal cues. You have to get comfortable with them. I want to go up to you and just hug you. You'd be freaked out if I did that to you. But I do that to my really close friend because I can pick up on it. If I came up and hugged you and you did this, I'd notice you didn't like it, obviously, because you don't know who I am. And there's a story in the book about this man from the Middle East who had to pray so many times a day, and he went to New York, came to America, and he was in the McDonald's, and it was time to pray. And they did their prayer, and while they're doing it, they can't talk at all. They cannot talk. It must be a rule, I'm not quite sure. But the employee came up to him and goes, "What are you doing?" Like, "Excuse me?" And he just does this. The employee thought that was an invitation for him to fight or some sort of thing, so he calls 911 and gets the police to McDonald's right away. And the guy in the story had to tell them, "No, we just can't talk during our prayer." And that was my nonverbal way of telling you. It was the nice nonverbal way of telling you, I can't talk. So I just think that's very interesting. Another example, in one of my labs, I have a couple musical theater makers. If you saw the production Medea this past weekend, you would notice that they all had masks. Just kind of scary looking masks. And they were telling me the story about they were doing a run through one night in the hallway of the Fine Arts. And UPD came in, the University Police came in, and were just doing rounds across campus. They came in and first off they saw a hallway full of people in like these robes and masks, which would be a little terrifying to me if I did that, if I didn't know what was going on. But they can't talk also. When this mask is on, they can't talk. It's something that the person who's in charge told them to do. And so the lady said, "Hey, what are you all doing here?" And none of them, they all kind of stood there like, and they were telling me like, "We didn't know what to do because we couldn't talk to this lady who was telling us what to do." And so one of them just goes, and just points to the person in charge, and she then told him, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry about the confusion. They can't talk while they have their mask on. I know it's something completely related to theater." And I just thought that was kind of interesting and funny. We also, individually, place nonverbal cues on your sex, if you're male or female. If I saw Miss Stone and she was in this lecture hall, which would be just crazy, and she did this to me, if she flipped her hair at me, I'd be like, "Oh, Emma. What are you doing? Are you flirting with me? Let's go to the mud and get it going." But if I was in the same situation, if I saw a male with longer hair and he just did that, I'd be like, "Oh, just getting the hair out of his eyes. Not a big deal at all." So we base that on different sexes, which I think is interesting too. All right, there's 5 nonverbal codes that the book talks about. The first one is, I will disclose it to you now, my biggest fear when I'm up here talking to people is pronouncing words wrong. That's my fear, some of you may have that too. Now you know a little bit more about me. But the first one is kinesics. Got it right there. Used to describe a system of studying nonverbal communication sent by the body and face. I want you to tell me what you think this little girl is telling us. She's hiding. What does her face say? Is she in pain? Is that how she smiles? By the way her arms are here, is she stretching her back awkwardly too, like I do? Is she uncomfortable? What is she doing? Like, you just gotta think of, when you see pictures of someone, what are they portraying to you? How about this little boy? What's he doing? Is he comfortable? Is he lost in thought? Is he a deep thinker? Relaxed? Is he bored? He looks kind of bored to me, actually. So I don't know. I just found these on Google. I just found pictures and put them on here just to see what you got. We got 2 different things when it comes to this, the body and the face. The body, we're going to be grading you on.
Hey, can you go back?
I'll just keep talking. The body we grade on 3 different things. I'm sorry again, my lab, you heard this yesterday, but we grade you on intentional movement. Does this movement make sense to your speech? If you're like doing weird things, that's not intentional to your speech. I want to talk today about like Justin Bieber, it doesn't make sense at all. Make sure if you're doing gestures, which we'll talk about later, that they make sense. You're moving with a purpose in your speech. Are your feet grounded? Do you have your feet nice and grounded? Or are you a kicker? Do you like to kick? Do you like to do weird river dance movements with your legs when you're up there? You'll be surprised at things you do when you watch your speech. The things that just randomly come out when you're speaking in front of a large audience. And then also, is your weight distributed? Are you a leaner? Do you like to lean? I like to sway. When I was in choir back in high school, I swayed so much. And I was that one person who everyone was watching because I was singing but doing this also. My mom got really mad at me about that because, like, is that your boy? Like, oh, sorry, Mom. Like, people would ask her about that. It's a whole different story. So we grade you on your body. We have posture. Non-verbally, if I see someone just walking around campus doing this, I can tell you're bored. I can tell you don't want to be awake right now at 7 in the morning. If I see someone doing this and walking properly, I'm like, oh, you're really excited to go to class, I guess. Just by the way your posture is. Relaxation. You can tell a lot from relaxation. If I'm at home watching the football game and eating some chips and on Facebook, I'm like slumped in my futon. I'm just like, oh, this is so great. But if I go to the dentist, oh, that's a whole different story. I hate people drilling on my teeth. And so for one time I had a cavity, I was clenching it so hard, the arm so hard, I was making these weird like signals with my faces, and the dentist was like, oh, are you uncomfortable? Just by looking at my face, I go, yeah, I am. Cold water, I don't know, please stop it. So just how relaxed you are can tell us a lot non-verbally. Gestures. This will be the one you use. Illustrators the most in your speech. You might go, 50% of you think smoking's bad, while 50% of you think smoking is good. Well, it's not really technically good, but you get my point. You might hear things, you might have someone come back, I went on a fishing trip and I caught a fish this big. That illustrates something. We got emblems, which is, if you raise your hand, I realize, oh, you want to talk. That just shows me non-verbally you want to say something. Adapters are if you tap your pencil during a test. I'm horrible at that. I tap my pencil, I shake my leg really fast, or I just do whatever I need to. I shake my leg during a test. For ladies or guys with longer hair, you might play with your hair. You might do this kind of stuff, or whatever you may think. You might, we suggest you don't do that at your speech, pull your hair the whole time while you're talking. But we also do grade you on gestures too. Are you using gestures? And we also have a category called hands at side. Are your hands at your side comfortable? Are you clenching? Are you putting them in your pocket? Are you playing with your shirt? Are you adjusting stuff? A lot of people who wear necklaces like to play with their necklace, and so it's kind of distracting. And then we have regulators, and that's if you're talking to me, and I go, you're like, oh, la, 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 and I go, no. I'm trying to regulate the conversation by showing you a nonverbal gesture that I need to say something quick. Or like, no, stop, I need to tell you something right now before you start talking. So those are just some gestures. I think they're great. They complement a speech so much. So that's the body. The face, it's your facial expressions communicate more than any nonverbal behavior. Your face is like the center of nonverbal communication. I believe the eyes are the most important. If you're ever talking to me in a conversation, I want you to maintain eye contact. Like not the whole time. That's weird. But you can like look away for a little bit. But I don't want you to be like, oh yeah, so Derek, what's up? Oh really? Yeah, me too. Like, where are you looking at up there? I'm right here. We do grade you on eye contact too. Is it direct and intentional? Are you looking right at us? Or are you looking at your note cards and covering up your eyes the whole time? Undistracted. Are you looking around? Is there something on the ceiling, like a bug crawling, that you have to look at while you give your speech? If you're in a room with windows, are you looking out there to see who's out there? Are you watching someone pass by your room? You're being distracted, and that's kind of what we don't want to go for. So, eye contact is very important, not only to me, but just in general. When you're talking to someone, you should always maintain eye contact. I had a teacher one time who looked at the corner of the room up there the whole time while they talked. I'm sure some of you had that too. So like, today, I'm just making the class, today in microbiology, we're going to talk about why. And I'm like, well, what is up there? I don't understand. And me being kind of rude, I'm like, I would always sit up in my seat like, hello, look at me, we're down here, we're not up there. So eye contact can portray a lot. I kind of thought a little differently of that teacher compared to teachers who look straight at me when they're talking or giving lectures. There's actually experts on nonverbal. Hopefully someday I can do this. I can just walk around and be like, oh, just by the way they're walking to class, they're sad. Oh, they're happy. Look how you can pick up on all the nonverbals. Like they literally study nonverbals all the time to pick up that kind of stuff. Men versus women. Men are always discouraged to not show sadness. You should always just kind of look angry. like you're going to punch someone in the face, I guess. Women, you shouldn't really show anger. That's the stereotype here in America. Don't show anger, you're not angry. You should be smiling all the time. Because that's just, you're a female, or you're a male, so you have to kind of never show sadness. You always got to be angry about something. That's funny, the book was pointing out different stereotypes. So men and women do not portray nonverbal cues the same way. They do not portray. Do not. We might need that for later. Cultures, Native Americans, from what the book said, they don't like to maintain eye contact as much as other cultures around the world. People from Sweden, they don't gaze at each other that often, but when they do, it's for a long period of time, which I don't quite understand. Like you're looking away and you're like, oh. You made eye contact, great. And then Southern European countries, they are always constantly, frequently, and extensively looking at each other and making sure that their eyes are making contact and they're showing nonverbals with that one. What do I have here? Oh, I just want to think of a time, you don't have to, this is a hypothetical question, but or a statement. Think of a time where you can honestly say you saw someone who was happy to see you. I mean, are they really happy? They may be smiling, but are they really happy? How can you tell? I think that's interesting. Here's some really exciting tidbits for you that the book also mentioned. This is a Chinese dish. Google Images, I think it's Chinese dish. The last bite of food should always be left on a Chinese plate because that signifies you're full. If you eat all the food on the plate and you completely clear your plate and the host family comes, hey, do you want more? And you're like, no, I'm good, thank you. That's rude to them. That thinks, well, you ate it all, why don't you want more? That's just something that they do. In Italy, I should move to Italy because I like to hug, but they love hugging. Hugging all the time, they hug it. They do the whole kiss the cheek thing, which I don't think I get used to, but they love to hug. Right here in Brazil, this is a horribly rude gesture to do. Okay, in America, yeah, okay. I'm just waiting for someone to be from Brazil in here and be like, oh. And then, oh my God, I just found this picture too. This is the Texas Longhorns. They do this. Yeah, go Longhorns, yeah. Well, did you know this also means the sign of Satan in Norway? Okay, so we have a full stadium of people doing this. Somehow someone from Norway is watching. They're like, wow. Okay, that's not awkward fast. In Egypt, you shouldn't eat with your left hand. In Iran, lateness is considered rude. In Thailand, they don't talk a lot with their hands. They don't use a lot of gestures, and they don't like it when you put your hands in your pocket while you're talking either, though. Nigeria, gestures are very important. They talk a lot with their body. And then in Greece, which I found very interesting, if you're traveling to Greece anytime soon, this means yes. This means no. Good luck. It's confusing to me. All right, the next one is paralinguistics. Just by looking at this picture right here, if you heard his voice on a YouTube video or whatever, if you just heard his voice, you know who that is. I can picture it I can listen to it in my head, and I can hear his voice. Mr. Stein, you know the whole dry eyes, take Visine, whatever that stuff is. You know that. And I really wanted to watch this movie the other night, so I just put it in there. But if you hear him screaming and beating his chest, you know that that's Tarzan. So paralinguistics, it's the rate, volume, pitch, and stress of your voice. You are graded on these. So you'll go up to the front of the class, give your speech. Are you speaking in a controlled rhythm? Are you just like talking at the same speed, the same time, the whole time you're talking at the same speed? No, you don't want to do that. During the more exciting parts, you want to talk a little bit faster. During the more dramatic parts of your speech, you might talk a little bit slower to really get people to soak in the information. And then also you're graded on how's your pitch of your voice. Are you talking like Mr. Stein here, who talks in a monotone voice, which sometimes I got criticized for doing, so I'm really working on spicing up the variety of my voice? Or are you talking really high during the exciting parts, or really low because you want people to really come in closer and listen to your speech? So those two things you're graded on. And there's also vocalizations. We call these vocal fillers. Such as, like, I've been trained to hear these from last year and now this next year. So I feel like I'm a robot when I hear these. Last night I was picking Obama said them a lot. Sorry, I'm not going back to that, but Obama did a lot of Mitt Romney was pretty good at it. Still, I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to vote for. I don't want to get punched after class. But I hear that kind of stuff. And when you're giving your speeches, this is going to be one of the hardest things to get rid of. I still say a lot. And while I'm giving a presentation yesterday when I gave 2 of these, I counted in my head every time I said it. Or I'll go, and I'll pause and I'll go, so going on to the next slide. I try so hard to get rid of them. So those are vocalizations or vocal fillers. And that's what I need to know about paralinguistics. That's the second of 5. Next one is time and space. We got a little couple here I'll talk about later. Chronemics or chronemics, I'm not sure how you pronounce that one, is the study of the way people use time as a message. People say time is money. So if you came to anyone's lab or class in general, 20 minutes late every day, we pick up on that. Or your professors and instructors pick up on that. You're like, oh, maybe they just don't care. They're coming 20 minutes late. They don't care. You go to a job interview 30 minutes late, 1, that's not good at all. And 2, you're telling your boss, unless your car broke down or something like that, you're telling maybe your future boss, maybe he or she doesn't want the job. Why are they 30 minutes late? So in America, it's very important. It's very important that you're always on time. I mean, everyone has their own way of doing it. I personally don't care. Maybe if you're 2 minutes late, whatever. But if you're constantly 20 minutes late every single day, it says something about you. Or maybe you're just carefree. You're like, well, I'm carefree. And they talked about in the book how it's okay to be a little late. In Mexico, it's okay to be a little late. That's their culture. They come a little late, and that's fine. But in America, it's completely different. And they also talked about how nowadays, the older generation, they like it when you talk. When you're talking to someone, it's face-to-face, you're talking, you're engaging, you're looking right at them. But now, we all seem to be, we can talk while we're on Facebook on our computer, while we're playing Words with Friends on our iPad, while we're texting someone on our phone. We're like, oh yeah, oh, okay, I'm looking at you, but now I look back down here. Oh yeah. We're multitasking while we talk. That's what my mom does it all the time to me, so it's kind of a reverse generational thing. I don't like when she does that, but she thinks it's totally fine. Proxemics, the study of how people use space to communicate the relationship. I am really bad at picking up nonverbal cues when it comes to this. The other day I was checking my schedule at Jimmy John's, and let's say the schedule's right here. There's a coworker right there checking it who's a little bit shorter than me. And I go, oh, when do I work? And I kind of just like went over their shoulder and looked. And literally they're like, what is going on? I'm really bad at picking up that kind of cue, so I need to work on that. But I think that's interesting. Some people have giant bubbles. Some people have little ones. They don't really care if you get close to someone. And if you're right next to them on like maybe subways. I've never been on a subway. I can't really count for that. But are you a person who's on a subway and you don't mind being this close, or do you need your space around you? So they also had a story in the book about this girl who befriended someone in college, and she had a big bubble. She wanted no one to be in it. But she had a friend who would always lean in and like talk to her and like, get really close to her. And she said one night they went to a party and they had a few drinks, and it got even worse. And this girl was basically like getting right in her face, and she was flipping over the couch basically to get rid of it. Get rid of this, well, I called it the leaner. But she was just leaning all at this girl, and this girl was trying to get away as best as she could. So she got in her bubble. She didn't like that. We all have them. And the next slide is different spaces or distances that people feel comfortable at. This is probably a romantic partner or someone you're very, very, very close to. This is the intimate distance, 0 to 18 inches. Personal distance is 18 inches to 4 feet. This is going to be the one we're both, well, not you and all, me and you, but your close friends, maybe acquaintances who you met like last year sometime. If you have a close friend, you're going to be closer. If you're maybe more of acquaintance with someone, you're going to be farther away. That's the social or personal distance. We got social distance, maybe at a board meeting, or the barista at the coffee shop, or a clerk at Walmart. This is the social distance, and that's 4 to 12 feet. Job interviews too. And lastly, we got public distance, 12 to 25 feet. This would be if Obama or Romney's talking at a campaign somewhere, or if some celebrity is on the red carpet. You maintain that distance from them. And so I just want to reiterate that we all have a strong sense of territory, and some of us don't like it, and some people intrude into it, but some of us don't care. I don't care, but that's just how I am. All right, the next one is haptics. It's a fun word. when I was doing this lecture and getting ready for it, I came across some research that I found out that there's a phobia of people that don't like to be touched. They don't like to be touched at all. And anyone raise your hand if unless it's your personal family, you do not like to be touched. Is there anyone in here? You can raise your hand, it doesn't matter. Okay, then that's interesting, because I'm completely opposite than you all. I will, if I've maybe known you for a month or two, and I consider your friend, I'll be like, hey, what's up? I'll hit you in the back, or I'll punch your shoulder, or I'll give you a little hug or something. Well, probably not after a month, but I'd give you a hug if I knew you for a little bit longer than that. I think that's okay to me. Personally, that's okay to me, and that's just how I was raised. And so haptics is a study of the communicative function of touch. There are a couple different ones, professional and functional. This is your dentist, your doctor, your hairstylist. In order to do their job, they have to touch you. So that's acceptable. Social polite, this might be with your friends, or someone you're just meeting, like, oh, shake your hand, good to meet you. Or in Europe, the hugging and the whole kissing cheek thing. If you meet someone, oh, this is my friend. You're bringing someone home to meet your parents. This is my friend. Oh, they hug, they kiss your cheek. That's just normal in European countries. People think this is weird, but I do this if I'm ever opening the door for someone. I'll be like, oh, here you go, and I'll just kind of put my hand on their shoulder. People don't like that, but I just can't get it out of my head that I can't do that. Or if I bump into someone, I'm like, oh, are you okay? And I'll touch their shoulder to make sure they're okay. I haven't got any death glares or punches yet, so I'm good. The people that did raise their hands are going to steer clear of me now. Friendship, this is when you're close to someone, when you find someone who's warm or caring. It's okay to do that. A lot of your friends are going to be this way. You give them a hug because they had a rough day, or you pat them on the back because they got an A+ on their test. You give them a high five. It's okay to do that. And then the love, intimate, these are the people we're closest to. These are probably going to be romantic partners. Oh, a good story that I had a coworker too. I was actually working 2 D-Day days ago, and we worked all day Saturday at D-Days. And I got there at 6 a.m. I was hyped up on Red Bull because it was going to be a long 12-hour day. And I had this coworker who I've worked for maybe about 4 months now, 4.5 months. And she was just, doing the stuff in the back, and I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, and I go, oh, and I just give her a big bear hug. Instantly, she just goes, and I just awkwardly started inching away from me, and I'm like, what's up? How's it going? Yeah. Pat her back. Yeah, how's it going? And she's like, no, only my family can give me hugs and touch me. And I didn't realize that. I didn't pick up on that. I should have. I should maybe not do that at 6 in the morning when I had a can of Red Bull. But I just thought that was interesting, and that's just the way she is. Then there's also one thing I forgot to touch on, which is called demand touching, which is if a boss comes up to you and goes, hey, good job. That may be saying something to you. They're like, why is he doing that to me? Like, what is going on? But to the boss saying, I'm superior than you. Good job. Good job. Squeezing your shoulder. It kind of shows superiority over who has superiority over who. I just thought that was interesting. The last one is appearance and artifacts. We've got good old Flavor Flav here. Flava Flav, not Flavor Flav. I say that right. If I came into lecture today and I wore my tank that said, come at me, bro, and I wore basketball shorts and flip-flops, you'd all be like, oh, what is this thing up there? But I didn't do that, because you would judge me instantly. I decided to wear jeans, shoes because I have to go to work after this, and a nice sweatshirt. Just because I have to show you, by my appearance, that I'm going to be up here lecturing you today. One of my old roommates at the fraternity I was in a few years ago, hated it when I wore sweatpants out. What? Okay, I could live in sweatpants, but he would be like, hey, Derek, I need to go to Walmart, will you go with me? But would you put on khaki shorts? I'd be like, what is, I don't understand. He goes, I just think if you see someone outside of maybe your house, you see a professor or instructor, or someone like an official in the community of Vermilion, I feel that you should look nice when you see them. And I go, I'm just going to get toothpaste at Walmart. Why do I need to change and put on my suit to go to Walmart? But that's just the way he was. He always, if he was going out, he put on jeans and a polo or a button-up shirt, whatever he could find in the closet quickly. Some of you may feel that way too. People's looks are believed to communicate something about them. Society tells us what's the best body type, what's the best way to color our hair, what's the best way to do this and that, what should you wear? Society tells us that, which I'm not a fan of, but We all go into that. I was gonna wear my Come At Me Bro tank today, but then I got a little nervous because it was cold, so I didn't do it. We adapt our appearance to cultural ideas of attractiveness. We go to the gym. I go to the wellness center. Why? Because maybe I gained a lot of weight during my undergrad and I want to get rid of it. We go to tanning places. We color our hair. We go on diets. We get makeovers, extreme makeovers sometimes, to our face, to our body, only because society and the cultural ideas tell us that that's attractive to do. And this is just another question I have to answer, but why do we invest so much money in this stuff? Yesterday I wore some clothes that I bought at the New to You thrift store. Out on 50 there, right, going out of Vermillion. No one knew that. No one had any idea. Like, oh, they're probably thinking, that's a nice polo Derek's wearing. Did you get that from Old Navy, maybe Gap? But no, I got it for $3 out of the thrift store. Because I personally believe it's okay to do that. I don't want to buy the $50 polo as opposed to the $3 one. They look the same. That's a whole different rant I might talk about in lab. So get excited, those of you in here. Some extras: purses, watches, belts, your iPhone case, your phone case. That shows us something. If you have a decked out, bedazzled, glittered iPhone case, that shows us something about you. You like glitter, you like sparkly pink things. It's whatever. Or if you have a camo, like an Army camo case, maybe you're in the National Guard. It tells us something about you. If I were to come in here with a leather briefcase, you'd be like, oh, that suits him. You know, I think he's in grad school. Yeah, okay, a leather briefcase is okay. Mm-hmm. But if I came with a green book bag, but if I came with a really torn up book bag, you might judge me on that. You might think, oh, that's not okay. Who needs a better book bag? So I think that's very interesting on how we do that. So what you wear is a nonverbal code. I could look around the room and say, oh, you have this hat on. Oh, I understand now. Or if you, sorry. I'll get to that later. If you wear a hat, or if your hair is just completely messy, I can see that. Oh, she just got up. All right. So what you wear and how you look is a nonverbal code for everyone. Oh, right. Finish this up quick. The function of nonverbal messages. Nonverbal communication helps convey verbal messages. That's very important. Nonverbal communication helps convey verbal messages. It regulates interaction. If I'm talking to you and you're talking back to me, I may do something like this. Like, I need to talk to him because I can't forget this. It helps us regulate interaction. Or if my eyes are darting around while you're talking to me, you may think, why is he so flighty? What is he doing right now? Is what I'm saying offending him? Expressing and managing intimacy. If I'm with my, so Emma Stone really wanted to go on a date with me, thank goodness. We're at the coffee shop, and she's talking to me, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's great, awesome, yeah, great, Emma. But if I do that at a board meeting, it's the exact same thing. Oh yeah, oh, okay boss, yeah, I understand completely. It's just, it's two different situations, but it's the same exact nod that I'm giving. And then it establishes social control. If I go up to you and go, hey, will you pick up my shift on Wednesday, and I smile at you, I'm letting you know that I really need it, and I would just love it if you did that. Or if I'm at a movie theater and I go, because these people next to me are talking or they're throwing popcorn at me for some weird reason, I would do that. I have great death glare, so if you need help with any of your friends or something, just come find me. So glaring at someone in a movie theater, I can do that, and non-verbally I'm telling them, you need to settle down. Next, sorry if this offends anyone. Skull Vikings. Don't touch me later. Nonverbals and power, prejudice, and discrimination. When I went to the Vikings game, I wore a purple jersey, I had purple socks, I had a little horn hat thing. I was pumped. It's because I belonged. I belonged in a group. I feel like I had the power because of that. And it's kind of a way of showing your group identity by what you wear. Some of you may have other sports jerseys that you wear. Some of you may be in a Greek house and you wear your letters. And that shows that you're part of the group. You're part of a fraternity or sorority. Or if you wear a Nike shirt, you support that. You're part of that group that likes to support Nike, and maybe that means you are on the football team, or you go work out, or you just like Nike in general. But nonverbals can also discriminate against people and show prejudice. If you're talking and I just go, just roll my eyes at you like this lady is, you'd be like, that was kind of rude. Or if you're talking to me and I just do this, you'd be like, what is this deal? what I don't understand. You don't really understand what my nonverbals are trying to tell you. You can discriminate against ethnicity, your ethnicity. Just by who you are, you might be discriminated upon just because of your nonverbals. Your body shape, your age, the style of your clothes. This usually produces negative stereotypes, which we won't get into, but you can think of some in your head. And in the book, they even talked about hate crimes. How hate crimes can happen just by what you wear and how you use nonverbals. Oh, another thing I forgot to talk about with nonverbals is the way, if let's say I'm at the bar downtown and I see someone coming in and I just do this. Oh, no. The people around me and the person might think, oh, he doesn't want to talk to me. But if I was at the bar and, how did everyone know I was downtown? Hey. That shows me a different message. It shows everyone around me and Emma that I really want to talk to her and hang out with her. I forgot to talk about that later. And then, so the next one, improving nonverbal communication. Got a little Chuck here and some really excited, happy lady there. Some ways to assess nonverbals. Is it congruent? Do we have a positive message? If I go, hey, will you go on a date with me? And the person goes back, yeah, and nods their head and smiles, that's positive and positive. Contradict, if I go, wow, those light blue shorts you're wearing are really cool. That shows I'm telling you a positive message, but I'm also giving you a negative feedback. Like, ooh. And hopefully in your labs, your GTAs won't be like, oh, oh. No, I'll be, I'm gonna let you know now, my lab in here, I'll be like a cracked out, super happy looking clown in the back. Because I want to give this positive feedback to you. And then there's certain contexts in which you have to use nonverbals. If they somehow let me go out on the football field after a Vikings game, after they won, and I went, yeah, I go, yeah, and I slap their butt, that's okay to do. People do that in basketball and football all the time, like, yeah, good job. But if I were to be sitting there and going, oh my God, your persuasive speech was so good! One, you probably would punch me or slap me and then one, I'd be fired. So there's certain contexts where you have to use nonverbal communication. Football as opposed to persuasive speeches, you get the point. Oh, I also forgot to tell a story about eye contact that I thought was kind of funny. I went to church this past weekend with my parents, and I did this little experiment while I'm sitting in the pew. After a while of listening, I'm like looking around, like, who's in church today? All right, okay, over here. All right, see you. Wow. Then there's always that person like 5 pews away who is just staring at you. And so I think it's really funny to be like, oh yeah. All right, the game's on. Let's get it. And it's a game I always try to get points by seeing if I can outstare them. It only happened once on Sunday and I won, so. I totally forgot about that story with eye contact, but that's just another way of doing it. And then some ending suggestions about nonverbal. Nonverbal messages don't always mean the same as you. So if I'm scratching my arm, that doesn't mean, or no, that's a bad example. If Emma Stone's in the middle there and she's flipping her hair, to me that means she's flirting with me. But to her that just means, you know, I have hair in my eye. So it's not always the same as you. Beware of individual, contextual, and cultural factors. Talk about culture, talk about context, slap in the butt, and individually, the people with the masks, the theater people with the masks. I don't understand, the university police understand, but they did. Ask if you don't understand. If I'm giving you weird nonverbal messages during your speech, maybe I just have something in my eye, and you think I'm like crying or something like that, because your speech is so moving. If you don't ask, if you don't know, then ask, and to make sure that you understand. And then not every nonverbal is meant to communicate something, and that was the whole scratching thing. The scratching, they're just doing this, or just tapping your hand, like, it doesn't mean anything. It's what I do. So those are some ending suggestions, and that is all I have for you. So we're going to take the quiz now, I think.